Hello and welcome to another episode of Microsoft Mentors, the podcast. Microsoft Mentors is designed to lift the lid on the career journeys of the most successful leaders in the Microsoft ecosystem and to share their knowledge, insights, experience and expertise with the wider Microsoft community, offering mentorship at scale. Each week I'll be having open and honest conversations with technology leaders, business owners and technical experts from across the world of Microsoft tech and unpicking their past routes to success, their current models for personal and professional growth and advising you on how to develop the next steps of your cloud career. Stay tuned every week, every Wednesday at midday on LinkedIn Live and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Let's grow together. Well, welcome to Microsoft Mentors, the podcast. This is our very first in-person podcast, and I'm joined by
It's Phil, Senior Cloud Architect at Car Factory and Microsoft MVP Infrastructure as Code. So nice to be here.
There you go. So yeah, a bit of a different format. We are right now up in Manchester. We're at DevX Connect, which is a new community-based conference event, effectively, which is run by Ethan Sumner, who some of you might have seen on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, this is their first sort of big-ish event in the UK, and it looks like it's going to be going global over the next year or so. So more events are planned right across the country. So I guess start off with Curtis. How have you found the last few hours here at DevX Connect?
Yeah, spot on. The show, to be honest, I think it seems to be a massive show, but still have that personal feel. So, like, when you get a user group and you're all quite compact, then the news are brilliant. So, the stage then break out. You go somewhere like a DTX, for example, they're a massive ball, they've got different booths, didn't feel like that, still had that personal touch and free food as well. So,
that helps, doesn't it? Yeah, I've been to DTX before, and when Microsoft used to do Future to Code down in London, it's just hard, it's just like 50, 60 exhibitors, thousands of people. You don't actually get that real sort of one-to-one value, whereas after all these sessions here, there's little breakouts, there's Q&A, there's people talking about initiatives as well. So you've obviously just done a talk this morning. I guess it's good to give people a bit of an overview. What was your talk about? What was that?
Yeah, so my talk was about embracing cloud, so the journey from on-premise to Microsoft Azure, and then some of the problems that you can come across when trying to take your business to the cloud, whether that be AWS or Azure. Obviously, I kept it Microsoft focused, but even things like, unsuitable motivations, so very vague motivation, the one needs cloud, what does that look like? And then trying to use some tooling that Microsoft provides to make sure it's successful first time, because if it's not a success the first time, it's a much bigger uphill battle the second time. So it's trying to just say, this is what you need to do in order to move to the cloud, and pack it full of information just to let people know it's no small feat. It's not like you'll be in the cloud tomorrow. It's a massive change for the business, tech-wise, culture-wise. Like you were saying, it's like changing religion. It's going from something I've done for 20 years on VMware or on-premise for physical servers, and now you're saying, put them in a public cloud, what the hell does that mean? So it's a massive change for everybody.
Yeah, and we were just talking before we started recording, and one of the keynotes this morning was Dave from Auto Trader, and they've been through that journey into multi-cloud for them, but that was a 4-year journey. Yes, I think probably a lot of non-technical business decision makers think, okay, we made the decision to go to cloud, let's just go there.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's exactly right. And it's trying to slow that down to say, actually, we're embarking on this journey, but we need to make sure we're getting things right. Because if you just lead things over to Azure, for example, you haven't got the correct data in place, like your foundation structure in the landing zone, you haven't worked out whether you want to do CI/CD, you've got no transition or refactor the architecture, following the rationalization processes, and you're just going to be the same as you are, but in a cloud hosting environment. Yeah. You're not going to receive any benefits, and actually you're going to migrate a lot of problems over as well, and cost. So that's the minimum.
Yeah, and I guess in that lens of embracing cloud, people may or may not have seen it. Curtis has been on one of my previous podcasts, probably a year ago now, I thought. And at that point, you're on the journey towards MVP.
But I mean, I guess in terms of just a brief background in terms of you and your career journey, and eventually get to the point now where you're fully embraced in cloud and fully in on the Microsoft side of things as an Azure MVP. You wouldn't even say the words AWS in the speech earlier. You was talking earlier. What's that journey look like for you, mate?
What in terms of just going from
where you started out, how you got into tech? I know you know a little bit about it from when we spoke before, but for people that haven't heard that, how did you get into tech? And then what's that journey look like for you to get to the point where you're at now?
Yeah, so I actually got into tech by chance. So I started network apprenticeship when I was 17 years old. I failed AS levels, didn't want to redo college, or redo the AS to get the A level. Yeah, hated college, just didn't apply myself, found it quite boring. And I thought, I just need to get into the workplace. Never wanted to go to university. I always seen it as a cost for me, and I didn't think that was my option.
I'm still paying it though, right?
But I thought, yeah, let's try and get into the workplace, and then heard about apprenticeships, weighed them up, and thought, yeah, I'm going to get certified, I get paid, I get experience, I get a foot in the door, I get certifications. That's the way to go. So I started Angel, which at 17, network apprenticeship, did level 3, did level 4 there, rose from like an apprentice to service desk team lead. I say team lead, it was just really, I was a point of contact for apprentices coming into the business to take some weight off the service desk manager, and then started to dabble a bit more with the offshore call centre. So did that, moved into MSP, moved into VMware, got an opportunity working for a health and safety company in Ring Hill, and then that's where everything changed then. So I still speak to Neil to this day. He's one of the, when you look at your career, you look at the changing points, you look at people who have impacted you. He's one of them people. And I picked up cloud there, actually picked up AWS there. I liked AWS better than Azure at the time because we were using it for prod and seeing a lot of benefits to it. And then I was like, cloud's where I need to be, this is where the market's shifting. So then looked for cloud roles, couldn't find an AWS role. Yeah. So found an Azure role in Prism, and then just developed from there. And then worked through the ranks there, went from internal support to the platform engineering team. They just acquired autonomy. So autonomy was providing BP Cloud, so providing Blue Prism as a service through Azure, hosted tenant. And then started dealing with customers. I thought consultancy seems to be the way. They're the guys that know it. So I'm going to move to consultancy. Went to AND, started my consultancy career at AND, and just working my way through then, all the way to here. Now I've gone back from consultancy, back to client side, taking a lot of knowledge that I've learned. Client side, took it to Card Factory now, and building on some further Card Factory, plus doing the MVP stuff along the way. So in the space of 10 years, I've gone from not knowing a thing about computers to being one of 2000 and the first Microsoft MVP from Liverpool. So it's been a bit of a journey.
Do you think, there's lots of points to pick there, but obviously your foundation was coming in, starting out on a network apprenticeship, going into a VMware role, and then eventually going into cloud. Now, there's probably people coming into the start of their career where they may end up skipping some of those fundamental traditional technologies because they go straight into a role that is a cloud-focused apprenticeships. So do you think people, if they're doing that, going straight into something that is more cloud-focused, have to be aware of the fact that they still need to build knowledge around that more traditional tech?
Absolutely. Just because the fundamentals still make up cloud. So if I say to someone, what's a subnet? Subnet is the same thing on-premise as it is on Azure. Interconnectivity in terms of communicating via routing, so things like route tables, BGP, for example, sites like VPNs, and then SSL layer, or encrypted the VPN. So all of these technologies that we pick up and they transfer into Azure. Now, don't get me wrong, there are different things that we need to learn in cloud that aren't the same as on-premise. But having those fundamentals really make the engineering. I always find that it's easiest to transition from on-prem to the cloud. Because when you're starting off in cloud, you have to learn cloud, so you have to learn Azure, you have to learn the whole setup around how the Microsoft ecosystem within Azure, things like regions, availability zones, and then what do they mean in on-prem world. So the data center, for example, is like an availability zone within a region, and then the connectivity between them. So yeah, I feel like the on-prem usually have a strong foundation to adopt cloud quite early. I feel like when you get chucked into cloud, you've got to learn these fundamentals as well, as someone should learn everything else. So
And when you were doing that first transition, because again, there will be people that maybe their day-to-day life right now, their current environment they're working on is still predominantly on premise. How did you start making that transition? When you started, was it Blue Prism? You said when you started?
Blue Prism fully cloud.
Yeah. So when you started going fully cloud, how did you sort of accelerate your knowledge base to keep up with what you were doing in your day job?
I was sort of like baptized by fire. That's how cloud was for me. It was very much, I was thrown in the deep end, and Phil Proctor was my boss at the time, who's now working at version 1 as one of their principals, sort of very knowledgeable guy. And he was very much put me under pressure and said, your then curve is going to go like that here, and I'm going to make it really difficult. But he made it difficult in a supportive way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only way to learn, is that, you know, you put under pressure, you're looking at the Google Docs, now you've got things like ChatGPT, Copilot, you can take advantage of very streamlined learning process, not sifting through docs and docs, but that's the best way to do it, in my opinion, or certainly that's how I did it. So yeah, just if you're looking at, for example, on-premise and trying to pick that up, go and utilize some of these free learning tools, because it's there to be learned and to
that's one of the big advantages of the working in the Microsoft space, isn't it? Is you've got all the resources from Microsoft, and then you've got events like this, you've got user groups, you've got the community that you can feed into. MVPs are sometimes useful as well. And so last time we spoke, let's say about a year ago, you probably just started the Azure Corner. So a few months into that when we spoke, Azure Corner is Curtis's YouTube channel, and your goal at that point was to come and get you going after that MVP status. So what did that year look like in terms of going from starting the YouTube channel to the day that you got that status?
Yeah, that was intense. That was, you know, with the videos, and it's hard to pick up, and it's like sound, you know, that not syncing or just not playing, and all of the non-technical aspect of it. Well, it's technical.
Who knows, this might not.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully it's working.
But yeah, you've got all that side of it, and then you've got obviously the technical side of it, so you've got to revise your set, make sure you don't look like an idiot to what you're saying. So it was very intense, and sort of learning on the job as such. But I had great mentorship from Peter Rising at Insight. So Peter is a 4-time certified MVP in security, and oh god, I'm gonna say security. And
I think it's security in 365. Is it? And I didn't see.
Is it
something like that? We'll check people.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, Peter. But yeah, you got just said, look, keep working like this, try this, do this, and I just really just listen to him. So there was a lot of people on that call when Peter first started the community and Insight, and we all fell off. And that's just because I don't think you realise how much work goes into it. And when you look at Peter's channel, for example, he's posting daily. Yeah, he's doing the head of a consultancy practice in terms of security, and he's got, you know, family life, and then he's got his MVPship, so he's working better than that. And I think that a lot of people just go, oh, right, I can't do that because I've got whatever excuse, I just don't want it. And I just listened to him and just kept on plugging away, and he was one of the main reasons I was able to do it, really. So that was, you know, big credit to him. And I just kept working away at it, started with the LinkedIn stuff, got a bit of a following, moved that over to YouTube, and then it just picked up a little bit from there, and then started putting myself out for events like this, and then Speedsby everything, and then getting invited along, and it just sort of naturally all progressed. It was weird because I had a lot of procrastination in terms of should I do this, and is the community right for me, and am I the right person to speak in the community, and everybody's the right person to speak. And you'll find that you get a lot of positivity compared to the negatives. You might get one negative comment, you might get 100 likes.
Exactly.
So you've got 100 people saying well done, you've got one person saying not maybe nothing.
But you focus on
so
focus on the one that
exactly. But it's trying to just say, you know what, forget you, like, I'm clearly delivering some value and just putting my weight out there. But I recommend anyone watching this to try, just put the video up and just give it a go, because it's a very doable idea. And everyone's got a story to share or something to talk about. So yeah, for sure. But that year was really intense, and then finally got the email on the 1st of May Yeah. So in the May release, I swear to God, it was better than Liverpool winning the Champions League. I swear to God, it was brilliant. I didn't touch screen for like 40 minutes. I actually thought that Liverpool might knock on at one point. I told my mum she was made up for me. Told my girlfriend first. She's most important. Told my mum and then I told Peter. Because I thought instead of putting it on LinkedIn and finding out what's in to find out. Because he's obviously a big part of it. So, it was a real win.
And then specifically within the MVP program, where do you sit? So Azure with
infrastructure as code, yeah. So I don't know how many in the UK. I'm sure it's only a few. As far as the quality part, the benefit of Microsoft, if you listen and fix this, you should be able to filter on MVPs. So you should be able to say, okay, here's your Microsoft MVPs. These are based in the UK, and these are the subcategories. Yeah, I think you could do that, be a lot better. But I'm sure there's only a handful of us, and really have to share the stage with some of these incredible people because there's some really good people in there for infrastructure as code.
And the very first one from Liverpool.
Yeah, brilliant. It's amazing. First scouser on there, it's fantastic. It's an honour, to be honest, because I've worked for some great people from my city, and I put them in, not high regard, but I respect them as the professionals that they are. And for me now to be the first scouser as Microsoft's most valuable professional, it's pretty cool. Like. Yeah, it's really cool.
And I know we've spoken in the past, but I think for you, getting the MVP status, part of that was then, and is going to be for you a vehicle of being able to use that within Liverpool and the areas of where you live to sort of empower younger generation to say, actually, people from whatever background, from wherever you are in the city, you can go and you can achieve things like this. So have you got much of a plan in terms of what that's going to look like and how you might use that status within and around Liverpool to empower the next generation sort of, and you might not want to term yourself as it yet, but you are going to become a Microsoft mentor within the city. So have you got a plan around how you want to achieve that and how you want to help?
I've thought about it. I've thought about even little things like when Ethan was mentioned before today about opening, use group. I've got a Liverpool as your use group. So we've got a Manchester one, you've got a Yorkshire one, but we've got a Liverpool one. So there's loads of talent within Liverpool. BGSS have got an office in Liverpool. So I think there's a massive untapped potential within our city, and I'm just one proof of that. So I really want to try and maybe have a little look deeper into that. I don't know at the moment because I'm absolutely stuck with the new acquisition of Car Factory. But yeah, it's something I want to look into. But even like today, for example, you see me just hanging back, talking to people of various roles within the IT hierarchy, so people who are just starting out, how do we get started with Azure. I got a question at the Yorkshire user group from a university student and saying how he wants to transition into, or he wants to get started in the cloud, and how he can use Terraform, and how does he start, and how would he go about saying his first role. That's why I based that in a YouTube video, just to say this is a blueprint and probably how you get started. Yeah. But even just turning up to little events like this, making yourself available and just feeding back to people, that's one of the big goals. So that's the immediate impact. But long-term future, if I could start a user group, pulling some really good people, just start inspiring people and just saying, actually, do you know what? I know the areas these are from. I know that people are operating those areas and driving these cars with very short lived. Yeah. So it's about providing for the youth and saying, actually, there's different alternatives. And that's why you don't see me like with people potentially out there, and I'm very chilled and very relaxed, and I like to do certain things and be in a certain way. But I want them to look at me and go, I can be in there. Because at the moment, when I was coming into tech, there's no real relatable people. We're all very different people from different backgrounds, and I'm not from them type backgrounds. So I think me putting myself out there and just taking a bit of a hit and going, you can actually be in tech and you can, join this great environment. I think kids can relate to that. And so that's part of the MVP. Well, that whole reason I got into the MVP was trying to inspire the next generation. And hopefully I'm doing that.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed there. I'm sure you are. Like you say, it's the same with anything, isn't it? It's just having, if you had 48 hours in a day, you'd be able to do all of it. It's just finding the balance to be able to pick and choose. Because, like I say, now you've got MVP status, and that's great. You can use it as a vehicle, but you've then got to commit a certain amount of time to maintain that.
Yeah.
So it's just being able to balance all that together, isn't it?
That's it. And the MVP stuff, I actually dropped off at the beginning of the year because we had such a big year last year. Obviously, I've got the new role, Card Factory. They're going through a massive cloud migration, cloud strategy at the moment. And then I just sort of fizzled out. And then when I went back to the Yorkshire user group and started getting questions and started reconnecting with why I'm an MVP and what I'm trying to bring to that whole space, and that sort of like giving me a bit of a kick. So I've got some really fresh ideas. So post this to the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
it'll be happening.
And how did you find, because obviously you started off, like I said, on LinkedIn, moved back to YouTube.
Yeah.
That's then started now transitioning into talking at events like this, talking at user groups. How did you find that transition between doing it just in your bedroom video in front of a camera to doing it in front of a group of people that's going to start asking you questions at the end of it? Did you do anything to prepare for that transition?
It's a really good question, and I think they come with their own challenges. So, like as we said before, with this is a different challenge, but then to be asked questions on the fly, that brings its own challenges. But the common approach is always to go prepared. So, with the likes of our talks, if we're talking to the camera, I'll do my own little bit of research with the tech. I'll read the Microsoft documentation a little bit, just refresh my knowledge, and just keep myself switched on. And then I'll do the same here. I'll do with the PowerPoint, I'll have my notes in place, but I'll know what I'm talking about. I might be basic in the bedroom, go through it, time it, but I'll know what I'm talking about. And then when people ask me, I can respond. Don't get me wrong, they are different challenges, but I think they're both challenging in their own way as well. So to some extent, I don't think you could prepare. I don't think you can work out what type of questions people are going to have for you. Obviously, you can understand tech and what you've delivered, but I don't think you can prepare for every question. Sometimes you are going to get caught out.
Yeah. In those situations, it's not in the when you're in consulting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't actually know for definite right now on that, but let me go away and find out and I'll come back to it.
Exactly. I've said that once or twice. I've said I'll follow up with you on LinkedIn because I actually don't know the answer, but I get to know. So,
but a lot of the time in these sort of settings, where we're at user group and things like this, we have it in this day where actually the speaker is not 100% sure, but then someone else in the room is like, well, no, actually, I've done that, I've crossed that bridge, and here's the solution.
Exactly. And that's the best thing about user groups is that although someone's delivering content, it's actually opening up to the wider community. So you'll have really educated, experienced individuals in the crowd and you feed off one another. And because at the end of the day, the whole point of the user group is for the users.
Yeah.
It's a group of people that are just trying to upskill, educate themselves, and be the best that you can possibly be. So I think when you remove that sort of like, oh, I should know everything, and remove that burden and that bit of ego, and think, actually, do you know what? I don't know everything. That's okay. Someone might know 1% here, or might know 2% here, and I can deliver the rest. And it's just relying on each other. And I think that's the big problem with IT, is that everybody, not everybody, but there's a lot of ego in IT, and there's a lot of things, why I need to know that, or I should know that. It's alright, it's like you say, you know what? I don't know that. There's that thing of like, I can be an idiot for 5 minutes on a lifetime. So rather than for 5 minutes, get educated now, and then I can educate further people if they ask me the same question.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things.
I think it's important as well, like, especially with if you're earlier either in the journey and moving the organisation that you work with into the cloud, or your own skill set in the cloud, that, yes, there's lots of experts in user groups, but not everyone there is an expert, and the reason they're there is to help everyone learn. So actually, even if your knowledge is at 5% of where you want it to be, if you go and sit in the user group every month for 6 months, all of a sudden you're going to be at 20-25%, and you can build on that, isn't it? So you don't have to be an expert to come to these sort of events, come to these sort of meetings.
You can be a complete novice. I was at the Yorkshire user group, and there was a secondary school teacher doing a talk, but he was doing a talk around study GPT and how AI can benefit his disability. I just thought that was excellent because it was somebody non-technical, but speaking about tech. I thought that was brilliant because you're not getting a techie's perspective, you're getting a non-technical person's perspective. So it's open to everyone, and that's the best thing about user groups, is that you come to network, you come to learn, and you just grow as a collective. So yeah, user groups are really good.
And so now, I guess for you, career-wise, you worked in the consultancy world for a number of years. You've now jumped over the other side of the fence to Card Factory. So what's the sort of medium to long-term plan at Cloud Factory when it comes to cloud strategy in Azure?
Well, long term, we all want to be CIO or CTO, just want to be the top of the tree. Medium term for Cloud Factory will be going cloud first. Well, long term, again, for them will be cloud first.
Yeah.
So I always aim for the cloud first just because I feel like even if you fall 20% below that, you're 80% migrated into Azure.
Yeah.
So if you're aiming for the top level, even if you find a happy medium, but we will still be much further along that path than I'm just started with like a couple of servers in Azure.
Yeah.
So that's the long term. That's the long run. Medium term really is really trying to migrate them out to data centers, look at developing our cloud first strategy, and just keeping people motivated on that journey and upskilling the team and transitioning people over to the new world. That's what I'm really enjoying about it, the non-technical side.
Yeah.
Because in consultancy, you get your SOW, you get your scope, go and deliver that, come out, that's it. Now I get to deal with the politics, I get to deal with the conversations, the interactions with third parties, various third parties, I get to speak with loads of great technical people, and I get to then tailor that and work what's best for my team with Cloud Factory. So it's kind of it's nice because it's like I want Cloud Factory to be the best. So yeah, it's really good. It's a really good project to be on, and I keep saying project. I shouldn't say project. I think about it. It's
still in that mindset,
but it's still a great company, and it's going to be a great journey that we go on for sure. It's going to be massive.
Yeah, like you say, because when you're in the consultancy world, you come in because that business needs expertise, and you fill that knowledge and skill gap, and then you leave. But the bit that you leave behind isn't your problem because you're off onto the next piece of work.
That's why I always hated consultancy, because you can only, what you add is restricted value.
Yeah.
So you could see a problem, but you can't look at that because you've got 80 hours available and you need to focus on your skill. You can't go off and have a conversation with a CIO and say, go for your cloud strategy, what are you doing in 12 months' time? Have you looked at your identity piece? Have you looked at things like Azure PIN? Have you looked at things like Azure Policy? You haven't got a security baseline. Have you looked at a landing zone? You've got a single subscription. Have you thought about any cash structure? You can't go into those deep conversations. Like, for example, with Cloud Factory, we have this thing called Lunch and Learn. So we get individuals from around the company to come and give us a bit of a talk about what they do in the business, and what value you can bring to the overall Cloud Factory team. And it was absolutely brilliant. But I could just see that just needed a SharePoint page. Now, very simple, but I got to spend half a day developing a SharePoint page, which I fucking absolutely love. But little things like that, you can't. If you're in consultancy, you just can't do it. So you just,
well, you could get that.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean we're not paying Curtis half a day bill for making us a SharePoint something for it?
You know, a project manager calling you on a call saying you build 5 hours, what are you doing? Oh, just want to do this. So yeah, it was very like content. It was now actually rain.
I think we were saying before we started recording that, and I think it's the same with a lot of organisations, that actually the technology change and transformation a lot of the time is the easy part. Yes, there's lots of challenges, but it's quite binary in a lot of senses, whereas you then put that onto the business and cultural transformation that an organisation has to go through, and Auto Trader, for example, we listened to this morning, some of that team had been together for 10, 15 years in a data centre, traditional networking, operations model, and all of a sudden they've got to then transition into the new world of cloud and upskill. And I guess probably for you as being, I imagine, the SME and thought leader for Azure within Cloud Factory, that's probably falling quite a lot on you to sort of help develop that culture and shift towards it.
So any Azure work does come directly to me. So I'm the only Azure expert within Cloud Factory. So anything that touches Azure has to come from me. So there are processes that we are working on. But the main benefit of Cloud Factory is they've got the buy-in from the very top. So John Wegg's an incredible CIO. He has a great vision. He wants to use things like AI. He wants to know how we can integrate them in our services. And ultimately, he always has the customer at heart. So when he thinks about driving that value to the customer, that's always the end goal. So having him at the top driving that cultural change makes my job so much easier. And then even operations level with the likes of Lee's very much backing it, very much cloud first as well. So very grateful that they're doing the hard part, which makes my job a lot easier. So when I'm approaching the business with solutions, it lands easier. Whereas that's the hardest part around cloud, cultural shift. So as you said, people have been doing it 15, 20 years, and now you're saying, right, you've got to do it this way now. You're telling them basically everything that they're doing is now out the window. You're telling them that they have to change the whole process. I mean, even when you look at the likes of Terraform and IaC, DevOps and that CI/CD process and how you deliver infrastructure into production, a whole brand new way of working.
Yeah.
And there's going to be resistance, there's going to be pushback, but there also will be concerns and saying, well, we need 20 people to do this now. There are only going to be 5 people. So it's how you manage them concerns and bring people along with you on the journey and say, actually, there is a place for you here. You've got the stuff to train you up, whether that be software, whether that be paid courses. And that transition is very much a cultural shift as well as a tech shift.
But that breaks out outside of just the IT and tech teams, though, doesn't it? Because you were talking earlier, and you talk here about things like CXO's got has to get their head around the fact that it's a new operating model. It's pay to go. It's capex versus opex. Yeah. It's not just the IT teams that have to get their head around this new way of working in the cloud, is it? It really does spread out across the whole business.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when we were talking about chargeback, for example, so under CAF you can use the multi-subscription layer. So application per subscription, IT can start to build back now predominantly. IT will pay for all the infrastructure. Yeah. When it comes to their budget, now cloud allows that flexibility to pay finance. That's your app that you're running. Give us our money back. Yeah. And then there will be resistance. Oh, you supposed to pay for this. Why are we not paying for it? So again,
this you're right.
Exactly. But it's that shift, and it's the whole culture change. It's not just. That's why I was saying you can't drive it from a tech perspective. It has to be driven from top down, and that's the big way that the car factory is being driven from the top down. So yeah, it's massive. Even with project management, for example. So traditionally, if you're a waterfall company and you move into an agile, and you move into stream based, and you go on sprints, and you're working out burn down rate, etc. And this is all new. What's all this? What's Jira ticket, for example? I'm used to having an Excel spreadsheet with all these tasks in. Is it 50% complete? Is it 100% complete? And it's just a brand new way of working. And I think people just go, oh my god, that's a lot to take in. So it's a massive culture shock.
Yeah. Talking about, I guess, new ways of working. Obviously, we're in the world of AI now. Everyone talks about it. Yeah. Now, there's lots of different places where it can come into organisations, but I think probably where I see it, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially on the sort of infrastructure and platform side, do you think things like GitHub Copilot, which we've seen a bit on today, is that where we're really going to see it impacting on the sort of infrastructure and platform level, sort of using AI to make the platform delivery cycle easier and more efficient by integrating AI into it?
Potentially. I think the big positive I see for GitHub Copilot from an infrastructure side is helping with adoption. Yeah. So, for example, you've got a traditional on-premise person and you want to now move to, a Terraform workflow. And you want to develop your source code for a Terraform and deploy. I think that GitHub using that as like a peering partner. I think that's what the lad was saying there, is that you can use it as a pair program and agent. I think that's where it's most helpful, because you're not saying somebody writes, here's a template, go and develop Terraform from scratch. That's there to assist you, and then you can learn from it, use it as a learning tool, and say, okay, I need a virtual machine with an MSG that has 338 open to this subnet. You might not know how to develop that from scratch, or you might not know how to go to HashiCorp and look at the documentation. But if you're saying that to Copilot and they can write it out for you, and you can read, understand it, and regurgitate that, then I think that's where it's going to have a lot of value in the now instance. Yeah. Where it can come in the future, well, AI can go anywhere in the future, but to be honest, the power of it is just incredible.
Do you think we'll get to a point where, you want to deploy or build a new Azure landing zone and you just write it out into some Copilot model in natural language, and it will just create the underlying infrastructure for you?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Well, Copilot's already built into Azure. Yeah. So you just need that functionality to start and build. Because at the moment, I think you can just query. But I don't see why not. I mean, if you think about Copilot and then you can tell it exactly what you want it to write, there's nothing stopping you from saying, okay, I want you to build this out and then deploy. So we
We
are
just don't deploy straight into production.
Yeah, that's it. We're not quite there yet, and I think we're not going to be there for a long time. The reason I think this is that I don't think businesses are ready to adopt AI, because they've got a lot of, because AI is all the way up here, but on premise, we're down here. So first you need to get your structure right, you need to get processes in place, you need to consolidate. So, for example, when I was talking around discovery, there'll be loads of VMs that just aren't in use, or legacy applications that you no longer use, and then they'll be out of date, so they can't integrate with AI to queries for data. So first you need to consolidate and understand your state. Then you need to migrate into Azure to leverage the AI perspective, and then structure your data and then pull on it. I still think we're a long way away from that.
Yeah, I think so. And even if I just look at it from our level of cloud decisions, and we're a small business, we've done a very small rollout to basically the three leaders in the business of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And even just with us, we're going, hang on a minute, if we want to roll this out to the wider team, we have to get all the sensitivity labels done, we have to get all of our SharePoint and back-end data governance sorted, because there's certain things that Copilot can't tell in the rest of the business.
Yeah.
And that's just in a small SMB business. You scale that up to enterprise. I read something the other day that Softcat, who are now a 2.8 billion turnover and like multiple thousand person organisation, they're running Microsoft 365 Copilot out across the whole business. But that's a mega undertaking to get to that point. Yeah. And that's probably a multi-year transition of getting the tech right, and then again, adoption. Yeah. Because no one really, and I've had this conversation a few times, I still think most people, when it comes to using things like ChatGPT and Copilot, we prompt as if we're using a search engine. Yeah. We don't prompt like we're using an intelligent piece of technology. So there's even more questions then about how do you adopt, how do you train, how do you help people understand how to use the technology, and that's even once you've got over the barriers of implementing it.
That's it, that's exactly it. And I'll leave this whole thing around that called prompt engineering, which I didn't actually know about. So shout out to Graham Cross and Digital, he told me all about that. But yeah, I think we're a massive way off. And as you said, even when you look at the likes of Softcats, who are going to be at the forefront of technology as a provider, imagine the work they've had to do, or the uptake that they've had to keep just to then deploy Copilot on top of that. Yeah. When you're looking at a business that's lived on prem, as local file shares, not even use SharePoint, they've got a lot of work to do first before they can use an AI. So yeah, that's why I think the adoption will slow down. But it's a massive thing. I don't think you can just go, oh, AI, plug it here, and it works. I think there's some foreground to it.
And I think there's a lot of parallels between the sort of public discourse around AI and the public discourse around public cloud in its early days, when AWS and then eventually Azure sort of really ramped up. Everyone at senior levels of business is saying, we can get efficiencies, let's get this public cloud, let's go. And a lot of businesses maybe went into it too quickly, and then all of a sudden had to start drawing back because it wasn't optimised, spending millions of pounds on pay-as-you-go consumption. And I think it's a similar sort of analogy with AI, where the actual public discourse is we've got to do it now, everyone needs to be AI, it's the future. But in reality, we're probably years off most businesses being able to implement it at scale.
No, absolutely. And I think that comes into anything, like you said, with public cloud, you need to do your preparation and due diligence, because if you get it wrong, not only from a cost perspective, but from a security perspective. When you mention sensitivity labels, what information is being transferred by, let's say, Copilot and SharePoint to a user. Imagine them pulling, a redundancy sheet. Oh, my name's on that list, what's it doing there? So there's things that you've got to do.
Or Dave, my team, pulled his salary out of his contract. And he's on 10 grand more than this.
Rush and get it wrong. Or you don't know what you're doing, you just try and wing it. That's why I was saying around that gap analysis is that if you don't know what you're doing, you want to go on that sort of route, pull in an expert, and go to market, pull in someone internally, or go to a trusted partner who they've got a portfolio of delivering for clients. Yeah. So at least you get it right the first time, and then that adoption will be a lot easier once you get it right and people see the power of it. If you get it wrong first time, leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and then you think that just didn't work for us. It does work, it's just that you implemented it wrong. Yeah. So it's about getting that strategy right for adoption for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then I guess before we go into the quick fire round. What's the plan for Azure Corner, Azure Corner for the next couple of months?
So I've got a how to get started on Typeform video in the pipeline, so that would be really good. I've got asked this question by Dinkan in the Yorkshire user group, and I think there's a bit of value there. And then hopefully get one or two more talks in before Christmas for that MVP. And then that's it. Yeah, get that fit. And then 2025, not sure, maybe start, well, do like some free consultancy, so helping small businesses try and break into Azure. So like we did with the talk today, we're sitting down with some people who want to get into the cloud and just give them some pointers and say, this is probably where you need to start. Because a lot of businesses just try. Let's try cloud, but we can't just try cloud. There's so much involved, and just helping them with that free structure. So yeah, maybe that. Don't know yet.
Yeah, getting the fundamentals right rather than just let's see what we put together and build and deploy. Well, actually, before you even think about doing that, you need to get the fundamentals right.
That's the foundation for the first step. That's it, absolutely. And then maybe a mentor group as well. I don't know yet. Thoughts all done maybe like a Wednesday night. So just getting people who want to get started in tech, get started in cloud, any questions, just have like an online mentor group. But again, that's part of more like the Microsoft Mentor program. So they mentor university students and break into the industry. And I think that might be something that I'm quite interested in, just because I like doing it here. So why not just carry on further? Yeah, that's something I'm interested in as well.
Don't need to go after Microsoft for stealing my name. Microsoft Mentors, Microsoft Mentor program.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Maybe I've sold it for me.
Maybe so, yeah.
Maybe no one's watching from Microsoft.
You could fork off from this and have like a mentor program. Like,
we're too small for you to worry about Microsoft.
But yeah, we could do something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. And start feeding into that wider community and start breaking down them barriers of tech. And people want to work in tech. It's a really nice place to work. It's a great place to work from a career perspective. And then the trajectories are just self-controlled. So yeah, I want to open that up a little bit more friendly. Yeah, help people get in that. So yeah, maybe that.
Cool. No, really interesting to catch up with you again, mate. And just as we go into next year, you've got all these exciting things happening. We'll definitely catch up again. But right, Microsoft Mentors quick fire round. So for anyone that's watched the podcast during Series 1, we're going for a slightly different approach this time. This is a bit of a test for Series 2. So rather than the slightly longer questions, Curtis is going to get 10 A or B questions and he's got to choose one of them. I think you can probably guess what he's going to go with on most of them, but let's see. The first one is pretty easy. So, Azure or AWS?
Azure.
Thought when I say that. All in cloud or hybrid?
All in.
Terraform or by Terraform? Look at that, didn't even stop for a minute. M365 Copilot or ChatGPT?
Ooh, ChatGPT.
Ooh, controversial. Daddy's not a 365 MVP. Stack Overflow or GitHub?
GitHub.
Mac or Windows?
Windows.
Oh, it's falling on Microsoft. iOS or Android?
Android.
Virtual reality or augmented reality?
Augmented.
Augmented. Okay, great. Remote, hybrid or office working?
Hybrid. Did the post on this yesterday. I got some really good engagements. I got some people who
got some heat.
Yeah, got some heat. But you were saying hybrid's the worst of all, but then my response was, well, you have the best of both worlds. You can be fully remote, or you can be in the office, or a bit of both. You know, the thing with hybrid is it's the implementation that goes wrong. Yeah. Hybrid itself is perfect. How business implements it, that's where it gets a bit of a bang.
Like, hybrid is a hybrid role, but it's 4.5 days a week in the office.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to do hybrid. It's not office with Friday afternoon off.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, inside the previous company, they were the best people in hybrid, so they would have an office in Manchester, and then you could work from home fully remote and have access whenever you wanted to go in. Yeah, and then they would sort of parking and stuff out for you. So for me, that was perfect.
Yeah, cool. LinkedIn or Twitter? Adidas or Nike?
Nike.
Thought you were going to say that. Here's the big one. Manchester or Liverpool? You know it. And on that last one, who's going to win the league? Liverpool are going to win the league.
Ali Schloss is going to come in and perform masterclass. I am so surprised by this guy. I'm not joking. I thought we'd end up about 7th. But I'm just really happy we didn't do United.
Could be worse. And we're in sunny Manchester now. I think Eric's just down at the train station at Piccadilly getting his train home. So, Curtis, mate, thanks for your time as always. If you want to find Curtis Milne on LinkedIn, I'll tag him in there. Azure Corner on YouTube. If anyone is looking for someone for advice, mentorship, anything like that in the Azure space, Curtis, I know, would be really up for giving you some of his time. So yeah, thanks for your time, mate. Catch you later.
And also, just a quick one, I'll add in, always one of the best recruiters that I've worked with, and just because he actually has a passion for Azure, so it shows within his work. So the benefit of Ollie is that he's a certified in Azure fundamentals. He's actually looking at the AI piece now, but also he can do a lot of that vetting for you. So you're not getting candidates just raw and just eat it into your process. You've already been partially vetted by Ollie, so he's a great lad. So go and speak to him for some roles or approach him for some work, and he'll give you a great service, I'm sure.
And I'll send that to him. Awesome. Thanks. Cheers.